Good morning, my YouTube viewers. It is Palestine here. I wanted to make you another video, which is a follow-on from my last video, because in my last video I was talking about how I had my initial screening for lung cancer, and then after I made that video I remembered about my neighbor, and my neighbor, she also got lung cancer, and so I wanted to make a video to talk about that. Well, my neighbor has died from lung cancer, so I can say her name. Her name was Ina, and she lived at Patriot Place on the road that I live on. And Patriot Place was a place where you had to be 55 to be able to get in there. So she got in there and she lived in there. And I met Ina when we were having a community association, and I was the treasurer, and Ina would say to me, "Oh, come visit me, come visit me." Well, I didn't know it at the time, but Ina was actually bisexual. So when she was saying, "Come visit me," it was partly to do with wanting to have some company, but she had plenty of company, she had plenty of visitors, and partly romantic. But of course I didn't know it at the time. I found out later that she was bisexual. And Ina had, whenever I was going to visit Ina had related to me that her husband in Australia had died from skin cancer. So she actually got a pension because they had determined that he got the skin cancer from when he was in the Navy. I think it was the Navy. And so she told me that, she loved her husband a lot. And when he was dying of cancer, she said she was so distraught that she was thinking of ending herself as well. I mean, obviously you have to be careful what you say on YouTube, because you don't want to get a strike and you don't want to get your channel taken down. And so I made friends with Ina, and I would bring Ina clothes. This was when I had a job where I could go to the shop and buy clothes and things. And so I would give Ina clothes and I would go visit her. But one thing that I found out is that when I had problems, Ina didn't support me. She didn't support me when I had problems. Like when I was pushed out of my job at Foster Wheeler and those people were doing really nasty things, she didn't support me. And because she didn't support me, I didn't even bother to tell her when my neighbors were doing things as well, because I thought, well, what's the point? And so when I was pushed out of my job at Foster Wheeler, she was telling me that I needed to be in the local mental hospital, which I thought was a nasty thing to say. She wasn't listening to a thing I said. She just assumed that I was nuts. And that's what they did at Foster Wheeler. At Foster Wheeler, they wanted to portray me as being mentally ill because I believed that they were getting something financial out of doing the things that they did, but they wanted to portray me as being mentally ill. And then so when I tried to tell Ina things that were happening, she was just like, well, you need to be in this local mental hospital. She was not prepared to listen to me or support me or anything. And so obviously that caused problems in our friendship, because you can be friends with someone when they don't believe you and they don't support you. So, but I still saw her. I still went to visit her, and I still brought her clothes and things that she could distribute to her friends. But a few years later, this was around 2019, I wanted to go see her. I thought, well, I'll go see Ina more, because I was volunteering at this charity shop. But I felt that the charity shop had something to do with the harassment that I was experiencing. And I'm not totally unjustified and having those feelings because of the things that were happening. So I wasn't volunteering at the charity shop anymore. So I thought, well, I can use this time that I'm not volunteering at the charity shop to go visit Ina. But the thing is that Ina would say, oh, well, I have to stay home and watch football, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. So I couldn't go visit Ina all the times that I wanted to visit her because she was busy. She was busy doing things. And it was around the time when I got sectioned the second time that I found out that Ina got cancer, because I was supposed to go see her and she said, I'm sorry, you can't come see me. I'm really sick and nauseous and everything else. And so I couldn't go see her. And then I got sectioned. And then when I got sectioned, I definitely couldn't go see her when I got sectioned. Well, I didn't know this, but she had, when they ran all these tests on her to find out why she was so sick and nauseous and everything, they found out that she had lung cancer. And it probably, I think it was a small cell lung cancer. I'm not sure. I don't know very much about lung cancer. So, but basically it was inoperable and it was terminal. And so she said that she was going to live life to the fullest, that she was going to live every single day, enjoy life as much as she could. And I couldn't go see her because I was in the mental hospital. And basically, so I tried to ring her one time and she said, well, we weren't really good friends anyway, because by this time the cancer had spread to her brain and to her ears, and she couldn't hear anymore. So she couldn't hear me when I phoned her. And she said, well, we weren't very good friends anyway, blah, blah, blah. And I found that very hurtful. And the reason why is because I wanted to be her friend. She was the one that kept a distance from me. She did invite me to come visit her, but I think that was more romantic than anything else. And I'm not bisexual or homosexual either. But I did want to be her friend, and I did want to visit her. She was the one that pushed me back. She was the one that was always busy. And I mean, her social life was better than my social life. And because I don't have much of a social life. But anyway, so I found out, I went to visit her when I was released from the hospital. I was in the hospital for about 2 months. So she had a really short illness. She was only sick for like 2 months. She had a really short illness. I went to visit her. They had taken a hospital bed and they had put the hospital bed in her apartment so she could stay in the hospital bed. And then she succumbed to the illness, and her neighbor told me that she succumbed to the illness. And I wasn't invited to the funeral, so I didn't know when the funeral was. And but I could not have gone to the funeral anyway because I was working and I was being watched. And I was worried about having taken time off so soon after being in the hospital. So I couldn't have gone to the funeral anyway. But that was it. That was the end of my friendship. The end of my friendship was that my friend Ina had succumbed to lung cancer. But I found it quite hurtful. I found it quite hurtful that I tried to be her friend, but she wasn't supportive of me. And she just assumed that all these things that I was telling her about the harassment I was experiencing was a mental illness and I should be in the mental hospital. And the reason why is because she had another friend, and she was my friend as well, and her name was Marion. Now she's no longer with us as well, and so she just lumped me in the same bracket as Marion. But Marion did have a genuine mental illness, and she did actually do things that were a consequence of that mental illness. But I was not anything like Marion. I was just trying to confide in Ina what I was experiencing from other people. And I do believe that my former employer, Foster Wheeler, was involved in it, definitely was involved. And I do believe that there was a financial motivation for what they did. Although I can't prove it because I was the victim. And because I was the victim, they would not have made me privy to what it was their motivation for what they were doing. So that was just what happened with my friend Ina, and how she's no longer with us because of lung cancer. And I wanted to discuss it. I want to discuss what happened and talk about it, because that's one friend of mine, other than my father, who has fell prey to lung cancer. And Nina didn't really smoke that much. She did smoke, but she didn't smoke a lot. I don't think that she ever smoked around me. And she was a nice lady, even if she didn't support me when I needed support. She was a still nice lady. And I tried to be her friend, and I tried to spend more time with her, and she pushed me back. And when she was coming to the end, she said that we weren't really good friends. Well, I don't know if she was saying that for herself. I don't know why she said that someone's trying to reach out to her when she's not going to be with us anymore. But she did say it. And so that was my experience of knowing someone who had lung cancer. And so next week, on Wednesday, I have another screening for lung cancer, and I will make a video after I've had my screening to let my viewers know what happened in my second screening for lung cancer. So thank you for listening to my story about Ina, which is a true story. And if you like my video, please like and subscribe. And I will be making another video next week about my lung cancer screening.